Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The Alumni podcast where you get to hear the inspiring stories and transformation that DVC has had to offer its alumni. And now, on with the episode.
Okay, so we'll get started here. And we are live here at DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. And we have our wonderful friends here. So it's like, and actually former professors and actually returning professor, returning champion, Mario Tejada, and his fabulous wife, Jennifer Tejada. So don't look so nervous. Like, okay, it's only me. I mean, gosh, you stand up in front of people who, it's like, God.
And your discipline is public speaking.
I know, but you're a little, you've been out of practice for all of a month and a half or whatever it's been.
Something like that.
Yeah. So let's start with, so the whole reason for this is to talk about kind of like how you guys met. So we've talked about his journey. We'll get back to your journey. So let's talk about yours, like kind of like where'd you grow up and how you ended up here at DVC?
Sure. Grew up in Concord. So,
where'd you go to high school at?
I went to Carondelet for 2 years and Ignacio Valley for the last 2 years.
Home of the Warriors at the time. Yeah, that's where I went.
And then came to DVC right out of high school.
Okay.
Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I took an accounting class my senior year of high school. So I figured business sounded like a good plan. And I took accounting level 1 at DVC. And it was a lot of repetition from what I had learned in high school. So I naturally was doing pretty well and thought I was destined to be an accountant based on that until I took accounting level 2 the second semester and realized quickly, no, I had no business being an accountant.
Okay.
But luckily at that point in my college career, I took a public speaking class because it was required and absolutely fell in love with it. And was recruited onto the DVC speech team. Went to all the tournaments, did pretty well, and it just sort of evolved, right? Mm-hmm. I did not have a plan coming in to DVC of what I was meant to do. I discovered it on the way, and it just sort of unfolded as I went. So I went to San Francisco State and majored in speech communication studies, competed on their speech and debate team, came back to DVC as a student when I was in the graduate program and taught part-time and coached the speech team here, and ended up completing my master's and applying for a full-time job, and was lucky enough to be hired here as a full-time speech instructor at the San Ramon campus of DVC, and was there as an instructor for 27 years, mm-hmm. and then transitioned into management, and I became the dean at the San Ramon campus.
So did you like teaching better or deaning better?
I like different things about each. And I had a long run as a classroom instructor, which I loved, and would have fully expected, I think, to retire as a teacher and would have been thrilled with that. But transitioning to being a dean, first it was an interim position. So I thought, okay, that's safe. I can try it out. And if I don't like it,
it's like trying out the pair of shoes before you go out.
Before you commit fully and walk outside, right? Yeah. But I think I was ready for a new challenge. Going into management, you learn things about the college and how it works and how you can support instruction and students in a way that you don't see as a professor. Mm-hmm. And that was really exciting and a little scary because you're learning some pretty high stakes stuff every single day, especially for your first 6 months or a year in the job. But it was also very energizing. Mm-hmm. So,
well, and I know it had to have been interesting and also a little scary when all of a sudden you get to see behind the curtain, mm-hmm. and you get to see the guy behind the curtain. Pay no attention to what's behind the curtain because it's like, whoa. I know that as I've been here for a few years now, not that many years, but is the stuff I learn, I'm just constantly going, really? Mm-hmm. And so.
Yeah. I think we forget that this is an institution, mm-hmm. and it's really large.
Yeah.
And even if you are walking in, did you get hired?
For
full time
instructor?
Yeah.
1991.
So I got hired in 96. She's hired in 91. I can honestly say it probably took me 2 years to sort of figure out the little bits and bobs that were happening, because at first I was just interested in my classroom, and then interested in my department, and then interested in my division. And Jennifer, you had the same path where she was an instructor, and then you became department chair. And actually, she was part of the old style regime.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That sounds frightening.
Before the coup.
Okay.
In the olden days, when we got hired, it was a division chair structure. There was no deans and department chairs. It was a division chair, and it was a faculty position. I don't remember.
It was half faculty, half management. And there were department chairs.
Oh, yeah.
But the division chair role was one where the faculty in the division elected you into that position. And so the thinking was that you were still faculty and you would return to the faculty, so you wouldn't do something stupid, because, you'd have to come back and live with your colleagues.
Yeah. Face the consequences.
Right. And so that model existed up until 1999, actually. Or a little past that, I was division chair. And I remember because I was pregnant with my daughter during the interview for the division chair role. And then I did that for 3 years. And so early 2000s is when we switched over to a full-time dean, full management structure.
And I think DVC was the last community college in California that had that structure.
Yeah.
Everybody else had shifted to deans and department chairs. So we were the last one to go there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So,
but it wasn't like an unarmed insurrection or anything like that.
I just like saying it was a coup.
I know.
Yeah. It was a rough transition. I'm not going to deny it, but for the college, but yeah.
Well, but I think in fairness to the college and in fairness to any huge organization, because this is a large, I think this year I was looking at the statistics and we got nearly 40,000 students between part-time and full-time, between the two campuses. And so you got all the people that got to support that. And so in all fairness to the institution, because, why didn't they just, it's like, it's hard because it's like you got the Titanic. It's like, well, there's the, and you're trying to turn a huge organization, and it takes a lot. And even then people grouse about it and they're unhappy with it. And there's stuff that wasn't anticipated. And so, I'm not making excuses, but I'm just like, that's where I was like, when I watched organizations do that, I just kind of nod my head a lot and go.
And it was time. I think we had grown out of our training wheels, not training wheels. I don't know if that's the right phrase to use, but the processes that we were trying to enact when you were 50% faculty and 50% dean, you couldn't really track them down. Because you're only a half-time management. Our deans, and you could speak to this also because, you ended up being a full-time dean. Even then, when you were a full-time dean, you still ran out of time to get everything that needed to begin. But we have increased the types of processes we have. So we needed to change the structure to be something that was responsive to the needs, not only of the students, but of our faculty and the staff.
Okay, so we got you being a dean. So let's get the short version of your tale. I know we did it before, but just for anybody not.
Restaurateur here from the DVC Culinary, came back in the late
1800s.
Yeah, came back in the late 1980s, got a certification in technology, went out into the work world for about 8 years. And then ended up back here teaching kind of through serendipitous situations, and ended up back here in 95 and in the district hired full time. But in 96, I became a faculty member full time. So I've been with the district 30 years, 29 of those as faculty. So,
okay. So you guys are not in your first marriage, and the marriage is dissolved. And so let's tell the wonderful story about how you guys were sitting there and chit-chat. Because I've heard various little bits and pieces of this version. So do tell. Dish. This is the fun part.
Do you want me to say my sandwich story?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, I was started in 96.
Mhm.
And we didn't end up getting together until 2001-ish and change, 2002.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just double checking if she remembers.
She did. I passed the
You
test.
passed the test. Usually it's the other way around.
No,
Usually
I
you're the
know.
one. Yeah. This is like, okay.
It's for years, it was just happenstance that her and her office mate, Dorothy Torrey, a psych instructor, and Bill Hammond, another computer teacher, and I always kind of ended up having our offices next to each other. We'd shuffle faculty offices. We'd either be next to each other or across the hall from each other. And, I'd go out to go get a sandwich, and she'd either throw $5 at me to get her a sandwich, or she goes, "I've had enough." And she'd walk out with me.
I say it just like that too.
Okay.
Yeah. I need a break and head out. And sometimes it was her, sometimes it was her and Dorothy. And we were friends.
Mhm.
We were coworkers. We were friends. I used to give her a bad time because she went through 2 pregnancies. I mean, she was gone when with Ben. You had delivered Ben, so she was out on maternity leave when I got hired full time. But I was around when she got pregnant and had Anastasia, and so my kids were slightly older, so I'd see her scuffling a bit with the oh my God, yes. He all he wants to eat is chicken tenders. So just feed them chicken tenders. Not that big a thing. Eventually, they will grow out of it.
Mm.
So I got to enjoy her new parenting.
Without
Adventures.
having to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's like the grandpa gig, which is,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
and we're moving into the teens now with my grandson, and it's just like, all he eats is, I know, princess.
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah. Well, and then my first husband passed away, and we were sitting around talking in our office, Dorothy and you, and I walked in after class, and you were talking about, I think, dating again, right?
No, actually, your office mate started off because she had been divorced for 4 years,
Oh,
and Dorothy, her topic of conversation was all over the place like a racquetball. And so we're sitting there talking about something, a lecture or something, and she goes, "You know what?" And I'm like, "What, Dorothy?" And she goes, "I think I'm gonna start dating." I'm like, "Where'd that come from?" And she goes, "Well, it's been 4 years and and this, that, the other thing." I'm like, "Well, it's been close to a year, and I'm ready to move on too, I think." And she goes, and you walked in on break from class.
yes, and kind of figured out what they were talking about. And I think you were a little nervous about the idea. And I said to him, "Well, I've always had a crush on you." And then I walked back to class.
Oh,
Okay.
talk about the
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Twice?" She true, and she goes, "Yeah, she's mentioned that once or twice before." And I'm like, "Oh my God," because Jennifer is this tall, blonde, beautiful woman, highly intelligent. Dorothy is a tall Mediterranean woman, so she's very swarthy, very dark Mediterranean colors, also highly intelligent. And then you got me. Slightly shorter, slightly rounder, and even though my Hispanic accent's slightly sexy, it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Not quite the same.
No, but his good heart and
Yes.
sense of humor.
Yes.
Yes, all of that won me
Yes.
over.
So you guys started dating,
Yes.
and well, that's such a good story. That's better than
Yeah.
my story with my wife. But that's I always tell people she's the best thing I ever found on the internet because we found each other on a dating app. But anyways, it's not my story. So you guys started dating, and how was that like working here at DVC and dating and stuff like that?
Well, the transition was hard. And not hard in the bad hard. It was just like we had been friends for so long. We had gone out to eat for so long. There was a place across the street from the old campus on Crow Canyon in San Ramon called Max's Diner. Max's.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we used to go to Max's, and Dorothy and I pretty much had a standing once a week appointment where we both taught evening classes. So we'd go for early dinner. We'd hit dinner like 3:34. And then we'd both be back and then have 7 p.m. classes. And so it changed. it changed. And so I asked her, would you like to go to dinner? And just the two of us. And I said, nothing big. We'll just go to Max's. It's right across the street. We've done this 100 times before. And then she asked, is this like a date?
Yeah. And it was, I hadn't dated since Ronald Reagan was president, at the time. So it was, suddenly it became very different. Right. And so I asked Dorothy to come with us. And so
I didn't know that.
He didn't know that.
Brought a chaperone.
A chaperone.
All right.
And so we sat in the booth and we sat next to each other. Dorothy was across from us because I figured I'd need it in case it got awkward, a little conversational buffer. Poor Dorothy. We ignored her the whole meal. We just talked to each other. She was like, why am I here? I think at one point she decided to leave and we didn't notice. So anyway, first date went great. Even though we were both a little nervous about getting back into that.
Well, I mean, I can appreciate, first of all, you guys have been friends for a while, and then all of a sudden now you're dating your friend. And so it's like that. Well, it's like, oh yeah, we'll just go to Max's. It's like, no. This is now the dynamic has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I could see where it's like, oh my gosh, what if they don't like you? It's like all this stuff that you do.
And you're right. We had done that before. We had gone to eat at Max's before. We had broken bed. We had been in social situations before, but not as two people that were interested in each other. So
yeah,
well, that is so cute. I like that. So you guys dated for a while and started navigating trying to figure out how to move from work buddies to okay, now we're not work buddies, and you guys ended up getting married, right? And probably invited all your halflings along, the kids, and they wore their little suits and stuff like that.
And Mario, after a year of being married, because he had to wait a year, he adopted my kids.
Okay.
So,
nice.
So they have our name. One of the interesting things was we started this relationship and we wanted to be cautious because we both, I have to admit, even though I'm not the communications major, I think we had lots of good conversations around expectations, what's going to happen if this doesn't work out, because I'm sorry, I'm not leaving the campus because you and I broke up, and she's not leaving the campus because we loved our campus. And we had to put all those cards on the table beforehand and say, so I'm really hoping this is going to work out, but what are we going to do if it doesn't? Or what happens if we do hang out and enjoy each other's company for 3, 4, or 5 years, but then we decide not to get married? Not to spill the beans, the end of the story, but I knew pretty quickly that this is kind of it. I think we've been together maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months, and I knew that I was going to propose to her. I think the fact that we were friends and knew each other well, and now as a couple, it gave us an opportunity to start asking those more intimate questions about what it meant to be in a relationship. I've told Jennifer this, and I think I may have even shared it with you, that one of the things that I loved about learning to fall in love with Jennifer is I already kind of had a roadmap of what I did not want in a relationship. God bless my first wife. She gave, she and I are partners with 3 beautiful daughters, and we have grandkids through them. And we have a real good relationship with her and her current husband. And so there was a lot of walking through stuff, but there was things in that relationship that I did not want to go through with Jennifer. And I think the maturity of age and time taught me to say, you know what? The last relationship, I didn't enjoy X. And I think that gave you permission to do the same.
Right. No, I agree. I think we knew what we didn't want as much as what we did in this relationship. And that's helpful.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like in my current, that was one of the things. It's like having a checklist of, okay, these are deal breakers. I don't like this. I do like this. And it's like, it makes kind of that roadmap, like you said, is it gives us kind of a better path to like, what are we going to do with,
Yeah.
And for me, I think it was one of the things I learned was to stop assuming something in the relationship. And yes, even though we had some deep conversations about some very, important topics as a couple, we also had quasi-important topics as a couple in the sense of like, if we ever have an opportunity to move, where do you want to move to, and where do you want to not move to? And what was your answer, Jen?
Well, we both had deal breakers about relocating if we ever needed to.
Mhm.
I cannot be more than an hour away from the ocean,
Okay.
and he cannot be.
I can't live any place where I have to own a snowblower
Ah,
to get out of my driveway to get to work.
Yeah.
Now, don't
Okay.
get me wrong. I don't mind visiting the snow, just like Jennifer doesn't mind visiting the Southwest. But when it comes to spending time and having a casa someplace, yeah, it's not going to be in Montana. And it's not going to be in Arizona.
not Idaho. Yeah.
Nowhere away from water for her, and
Mhm.
lakes don't count, right?
Lakes would be a second choice.
We'll talk about that often.
Okay.
Anyway, and so for us, those are real good conversations. The other thing we had to walk through is, what's the rules about dating your coworkers here?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So talk about that.
Well, we kept it on the down low.
We did. And I was finishing up my term as division chair,
Hmm.
and I had planned, that was at the end of my 3-year stint, that was when the college made the transition to full-time deans. And I was getting to the point, there were a couple of reasons. One, if I were to be a full-time dean, I couldn't oversee
Manage me.
him if we were dating or getting married, which is what we were planning. We were pretty clear that we were going to get married at that point. The other thing that made me want to go back to full-time teaching is at that 3-year mark, well, really in year 2, I felt like I was dealing more with problems than being active in creating things that were positive. I used to dread going into my office, seeing the phone on my desk with the red flashing light, because I knew that was a voicemail of somebody with a complaint or a problem.
Just to clarify for our audience, those of you who are young, in the olden days, we used to have these square things on our desk called telephones.
Yes.
And if you had an answering system, they had lights that would blink when a voicemail was left.
Yeah, and a voicemail.
Yes. Back in the olden days, and you couldn't. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Well, as I think about, there's a lot of stuff like that now. It's like I was thinking about like your first date. It's like Dorothy, right, was there, and it's like had it been a little further down the road, she could have sat there and just played on her phone.
Right.
Yeah.
There was none of that.
No.
So she was just sitting there kind of going, "Oh, let's see what the dessert menu looks like,"
Yeah.
But
I think she taught psychology. She probably had a good time studying both of
Yes.
us and the interaction.
Yeah.
She was in work mode at that moment.
so
We were dating on the down low. The only person that really knew was Dorothy, and I think the whispers started to get out there.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember the first time we outed ourselves?
The then president of the college, his executive administrative assistant was retiring, and so they had a big party for her, and it was on like a hornblower yacht.
Oh.
Yeah. And so we went to
As a
that
couple.
party together. And the minute we stepped on the boat, one of the other administrative assistants went, "I knew it. I knew it." I think she won a bet or something.
Yeah.
She was excited. And so, yeah, the buzzing, I think we stole the show a little bit from the retiree, but
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
pretty
Well,
funny.
yeah. I mean,
That was pretty funny.
yeah.
That
yeah.
was pretty funny.
So did anybody want to bet on that?
I don't know.
Well, no, that's something we would do here in the foundation offices, and we'd have over-unders, and it's like, yeah.
Well, and I mean, and then just a little while later, we got married, and
Mhm.
we started down that path, and we got our dean down there. And one of the good things that happened down there is we have 2 departments, and Jennifer was head of one department, and I was the head of a different department. And one thing that happened was by the time Jennifer got asked to become a dean, we had not only split into 2 departments, we had continued to split into 5, right?
We had 5 departments.
We have 5 departments down there. And we
and
have
2D.
and 2D.
Mhm.
And so when they approached Jennifer about being, well, why don't you speak about that? Because
Okay.
it was your internship.
Okay. We had a senior dean and a dean when I was still a faculty member, and the senior dean was leaving to go to another college to become a vice president.
Okay.
And they tapped the dean, Kenyetta Tribble, fabulous woman, who is now a VP over at Contra Costa College, to be the acting senior dean. And so they needed somebody to backfill for her. And so they asked me to apply for an interim dean position. And I said, well, what about Mario here? I can't.
Problem.
You're such a problem.
He is, by the way, folks.
And so they said, we're going to have his department report to Kenyetta, the senior dean, so that not only would he not report to me, his whole department would not report to me, and I would be responsible for the other 4 departments. And that worked. That arrangement worked very well. And
it worked to the point that when Kenyetta left, and then you were asked.
I was asked to be acting senior dean
that we just flipped it.
And so the dean coming up behind me, who's filling in for my role,
Catherine Franco,
his department then reported to her, and the rest reported to me.
And they contacted me. I don't know if I told you this. When they first approached her, HR or somebody at the district said, they called me and said, would you be okay with this thing? I said, yeah, so long as, having to do laundry is not on the division agenda. I'm good.
Yep. So it's worked out.
Wow. And so you guys did that for a while.
6 years? 7 years?
Okay.
Yeah, I was in my 6th year as dean when I retired.
Okay. So, so here you are percolating along, and you guys decide to retire finally. And I know you got the bug back, and we'll talk about you're getting bit by the bug. You have not gotten the bug.
No.
So talk about now that you finally retired, and you were kind of like nice to kind of like go like, all right.
Yeah.
And
the people asked me if I wanted to go back and teach part-time. And no, I think that part of my career, I loved it thoroughly. And it was a surprise being asked to apply for the interim dean position. It was in December. And I was teaching a cyber session class. So it's a 4-week class. And since I taught public speaking, this was a hybrid. So it was part online, part in person. So I had in-person meetings every week for those 4 weeks. I was glad that when I was teaching that class, I didn't know it would be my last class to ever teach.
Okay.
Because I think I would have been a lot more emotional if it was. It was a fantastic group of people. We had a blast. It was intense, but, we connected quickly. And when it was over, then I was going to be this interim dean.
For a minute.
Yeah. I was thinking, we'll see if it's going to be like that division chair job where that blinking light is a nothing but problems, which it didn't turn out to be. I felt maybe I was different in the role. But also I think that the work was a little bit different too, in that I got great advice from the outgoing senior dean, Mike Holtzclaw, who caused this whole chain reaction by leaving for College of San Mateo. I said I would really miss serving the students. I would really miss my interactions and connections with students. And he said, what's cool about being a manager or administrator is now you get to support and serve your faculty in the way that you did the students, so that they could go and do, innovative programs and cool new things that support students on a different level. And it's a lot more than just you in your classroom with your 35 students. It's you're impacting faculty who are reaching.
So you go
thousands.
From impacting 35 to impacting 1,000.
Right. You're a little step removed.
Yeah.
But you can make changes that are a little bit more systemic that affect more students. And he's right. When I framed it that way, I was very excited. And so all of the things that I got to support someone doing, their idea and let's make that happen, or I want to do this program. Great. Let's see what we need to get you going. You get to see the benefit of that on a much larger scale. And so it was fantastic. Yeah.
So during your time as dean, what would you say, like, do you have like a one or two things that occurred during that time period where you can look back and you go, I am really happy I did that, or I'm really proud of that particular moment?
Yeah, I think luckily I can say there were a number of things. I'll tell you, I was hired as interim dean in January of 2019. And that first year was like, whew, there's a lot to learn. And just when I was starting to feel comfortable after the first year mark, COVID hit, and we were in shutdown in March. And the only comfort I take in that is nobody knew what we were going to do and how to navigate this. So we all learned together. And the Dean's Group especially became this huge support network, this community where we all were in constant contact via text and emails and Zoom meetings, et cetera, sharing how we're going to support people and students especially in this. And we were thrown things that we never in a million years would have thought would be a problem we'd need to solve. And so that network was really a saving grace. But one of the things that I especially am proud of is the San Ramon campus partnered with the Contra Costa Food Bank, and we developed food boxes. And it started out for our students who were food insecure, or because of the pandemic, were now newly food insecure, and having them come to the campus once a month, and we would provide them with a box of non-perishable food to kind of get them over the hump. We also got food cards, Safeway grocery cards that we gave out to our students so that because we didn't have food on our campus. And while during the pandemic shutdown, the San Ramon campus was building its cafe and building its library and academic support center, which small silver linings, I guess, because of the shutdown, was actually able to happen much faster. The construction was able to go full speed ahead without a lot of students and faculty on campus.
No disruptions.
Right. So that they were able to work a lot more quickly. But in the meantime, this provided students with food. And that was something that I spearheaded and was really, really proud of. And I loved going out there once a month. I put the boxes together. I was the one handing them out and putting them in people's car trunks.
But and not only it affected the students, it eventually ended up being the community.
Yeah, yeah, because it wasn't college money that was funding this. It was the food bank partnering with us, so we could open it up to any of the community members that needed food as well. So we would be serving quite a number of people.
Yeah, I'm thinking about COVID and all the things like that, and there's a number of other things. I mean, I was Shelly and I were very fortunate during COVID in that I didn't get sent home. She did, but they kept paying her, so it's like it worked out. And but a lot of people did not.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was brutal on a lot of people. And it was just, and to your point is we had no idea what was going on. We didn't know what it was going to look like tomorrow, and we didn't know what the next step was going to be.
Yeah.
And, I know that there were at the time, and also, people now looking back, it's like, well, they should have known. It's like, well, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember being in the middle of it, just going, okay, what does tomorrow look like?
Correct.
Let's figure out what today is. I mean, that was a tough time.
Yeah.
Correct.
And to your point also is like, nobody knew what education was going to look like.
Right.
Correct.
My grandson was in school on Zoom, and my daughter, who teaches PE, was teaching PE on Zoom.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
It was an interesting time. So hopefully we do not get to go through that again.
Correct.
Once was enough.
Yeah. So you were doing the dean thing also. Oh, no.
No, department chair.
Department chair. Okay.
Department chair. I saw what she was doing as a dean,
And you went, no.
No. And, yeah, I'm as far up as I need to be. I'm able to help my faculty and the students in my area, and I help other department chairs at the San Ramon campus, mostly about how to fill out spreadsheets on Excel. But that's a mute point.
But during the pandemic, him and the rest of the distance education committee did amazing work getting basically everyone in the entire college transitioned to online teaching.
Yeah.
In what? 3 days, 4 days or something.
Really?
We basically closed or
It was mid-March.
Yeah, just said, okay, we're taking a week. And you're getting people who, some of them have been teaching online or at least, dabbled in it, to people who don't even, look at their computer because they're not quite sure how to turn it on, and had to get them proficient and comfortable and meet some baseline of quality instruction. And it was scary for everybody. And they worked so tirelessly because I had a front row seat to see what he and the rest of the DE committee did.
Yeah, the distance ed folks were phenomenal.
Amazing.
They came up with a new program that we still use now. When we hire faculty, we require them to go through what is coming. It's not called. It used to be called Becoming an Effective Online Instructor, BEOI. They changed the name, and I can't remember what the new acronym. I mean, it's BEOI still, but the words behind it they changed, and I don't remember what that is. But in my area, we've been teaching online because we teach computers and we teach web design. But we've been teaching online. I don't know, probably about since 2005. We've been doing it for a long time. And so a lot of my faculty could help people that, like Jen said, that were new. And being part of the distance ed committee for most of the time that I've been working here at the college, I got a front row seat to everything that we were doing. I became a trainer, and we basically trained the entire district because DVC had the strongest core of distance delivered instructors that had experience. And so, not to say that Dos Medanos and Contra Costa didn't have online instructors. They did, but not to the quantity that we had. And so we ended up training all the faculty in the district probably within 3 months.
Wow. Well, we are the largest learning community out of the three colleges. We have a much bigger footprint. We have a larger, student body, faculty, all that good stuff,
And I want to circle back and then speak to something about Jennifer. The initiative that she had during the pandemic with the food support program, the food bank, et cetera, is just one of the many things that she did. One of the reasons I fell in love with you and was the fact that she is just super smart. She's brilliant. Even when I was newly hired, I liked it when she ran a meeting because I knew the meeting was going to be efficient. It was going to be timely. And, if the meeting was scheduled for 90 minutes and we only took up 60 minutes, she didn't dilly-dally and keep us there this additional 30 minutes. No, we got done with everything we wanted on the agenda. There's no need to add anything else. Let's step out. You don't find that a lot.
Oh, no.
So having her run meetings was one of the things I always looked forward to when we were just co-workers. Since then, she initiated the PACE program here at the college. She did the food bank service here at the college. One of the things that we talked about when we decided about retiring, what was our legacy? Now, personally, I was hoping for Tejada Tech Center as being a building named after us, but ain't going to happen. But one of the things we talked about was I wanted to make sure that the faculty in my area, I could mentor them and make sure they had the tools that they needed to be successful without me being department chair. And Jennifer and I both talked about making sure that down at the San Ramon campus, we had the people and the infrastructure in place to support our students and to support our faculty. Like, hiring Irene and hiring Kelsey and hiring all these additional people that we needed that was very much student-centered, focused support. And I think that's one of the best things that you did down there. And I really feel that we walked away with with all the parts and pieces in place for the San Ramon campus to continue being successful, I just smacked the microphone.
That's okay.
One of the things, the San Ramon campus, to me is, I love Diablo Valley College. I love our district. I've had association with Los Medanos and Contra Costa, but the San Ramon campus to me has always been home, and it nurtured me as much as I wanted to nurture it. And so I felt that as I was walking away, I wanted to make sure that I left things in order. I did not want to be that instructor that they came back in. Well, it was a week later, they opened up my drawers and find all these unpaid invoices going,
what the heck is
when
this?
did he buy all these things?
Yeah.
And so I didn't want that to be part of my legacy.
Yeah.
Right.
So, so as we get we'll wind up. So I have a question for both of you, and I've asked you this question, but you don't get to answer first. So your question.
Okay.
So if you had to go talk to your younger self, what would you tell yourself?
It's a good question. I really feel like I got the opportunity to do everything in my career that I wanted to do. And in part, and I've told this to our kids as well, what I loved so much about education and is the security of it, and knowing that, hey, an opportunity to develop a program for adult students, which was PACE, Program for Adult College Education. I was given reassigned time to go develop that. But if it had failed, I wouldn't have been out of a job, right? Like in private industry, sometimes they put you out on that branch to develop something new, and it didn't work. There goes the branch and you with it. I'd just go back to the classroom. So there was a security to allow you to be innovative and brave.
And take risk.
To take a risk with things that turned out, PACE turned out to be fabulous. It really did, was a stunning success. There was a huge market of students, demographic of students who wanted to come back to college and needed that schedule to be different because they were working full time or had childcare or other things because they're, 30, 40 years old. And I think that I would tell my younger self to seek out those opportunities even more. One of the great things about the San Ramon campus is because it's a small community, you have the opportunity to take on positions of responsibility or take on roles in like key committees a lot sooner than if you were in a much larger campus, the bigger pond, Pleasant Hill, where you'd have to wait in line, right? Wait your turn for that opportunity to come your way. With us at San Ramon, it was like, we need people on all the major committees. We need a department chair. Guess what? It's your turn. Right? Yeah. And so you're thrown almost sometimes into these roles where you learn a lot. You realize maybe I can do that. I kind of like this. This is kind of fun, or I can do this. I have a skill set for this. And one of the reasons why I think the San Ramon campus is so successful and such a great place is we hire people who have that personality of, we like to call them innovators or entrepreneurs. We are.
What did you call them? Entrepreneurs.
It's his Spanish accent.
Oh, okay.
We're more nimble. We can pilot things because there's fewer people to kind of consult and get on board with it. We as a campus think, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go for it. And we roll it out and test it out. And we continue to hire people who are comfortable in that role.
I love that idea of being much more entrepreneurial because I know one of the struggles with higher education, because it is a huge animal, is that getting it to do, it's like any large organizations. I know people will rail against it, it's just like, I can't believe it. It's like, well, it's a huge critter.
Yeah.
And it's not going to move very fast on anything.
No, and it's a different critter.
Yes.
Because I teach computer information systems, and my areas are business, accounting, other business classes, economics. We tend to have a lot of adjunct faculty or new faculty that we hire that are coming from the business world. And I have to have a conversation with those folks going, look, This is not the business world. This is the academic world. And even though it is a huge institution, and even though there's lots of, it is still different. And you need to find your rhythm in here. And I think that's one of the things about being a long-term member here is after a while, you sort of learn your rhythm of how to get things done. And then down at the San Ramon campus, because we are smaller, we picked up on that rhythm, and so we are able to adjust a little bit quicker than other areas. And again, circling back to what Jennifer said about having a freedom of doing stuff, we changed our model in computer information systems from a weekend workshop format that was not serving the needs of the business community, because we were constantly surveying our students. How can we make this better? What would work better for you? If I could do some of this stuff online, if I could do this in a shorter time period, I need more material without having to sign up for so many classes. In other words, we used to have Excel level 1 and Excel level 2 and Excel level 3. And they'd say, can you just offer one Excel class instead of me having to sign up for 3 of them? Because now that makes it harder and shorter time frame. And working with our deans down there, working with the instructors off there, we were able to say, we'd like to try this. Can we try this and give it a shot? And that's why we were online way before the pandemic hit. That's why we have 8-week courses, because 2/3 of the students in my area are working adults. 1/3 are the college age kids. I get a lot of business students, a lot of stats students, especially taking Excel, because, Excel is such a great product for the business world and the stats world and accounting and et cetera. But everybody else is trying to update their skills. And I think the responsiveness that we provide down at the San Ramon campus was one of the things that I really thought was a huge benefit to be working down there and working in that area. And again, we wanted to make sure that when we left, all those cylinders were clicking and everybody was moving forward. And you know what? We're stepping into a budget crisis here in the state of California and in education. We're not sure what the future is going to hold. But Jennifer has always said to me, I remember the first time you said it to me, is like, this is education, and we have weathered the dips and the high tides and the low tides in this institution over the 36 years you've been here, the 30 years that I've been here. We've gone to the bottom and then come back up. And so our expectation is that, we will weather the storm again. And that's what we keep telling our coworkers.
Yeah. It's, I don't know if you're familiar with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So what's the first thing? Thanks for all the fish.
Well, but it's like the first one is like, don't panic.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
So what would be the thing that you would tell your younger self?
Don't be scared of the unknown.
Okay.
Don't be scared of that. Because of this job, I think because of my maturity and getting here at the age that I got here, I was 35 years old when I became an instructor. I had already gone through life and some hardships and some other things. And so coming here and then having the flexibility, and again, I like what you said. Nobody's cutting a branch off on me that I'm regretting being on. We got to try all sorts of different things. I got to be an instructor in the Cisco Academy that was here for like 10 years and then went away. An area that I loved developing was the Year Up program.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Year Up program was, they asked me to help put together the curriculum, that they asked me to help be an instructor in there. And, I still get contacted by students in that program who have been successful. As a matter of fact, one of my former students is working at the bank that we bank at. So, there's some legacy there.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. That's what I really love. To the point that I'm back teaching again. You
got bit by the bug.
Well, it was always kind of the plan because, Jennifer would ask me to leave.
True story. When the college offers this wonderful perk when as faculty, you can teach extra classes, and then rather than get paid for them, you bank them. And after you've taught the equivalent of a full semester's teaching load, you can take a semester off for full pay. And It's not a sabbatical. You don't owe them anything. You don't have to write a paper or report. It's just you get the time off, but because you've already taught the extra classes and you're just getting paid for it by taking that time off. So we did that. I don't know how many years we had been married, but we both took a semester off, and we didn't have any big travel plans. I just wanted to be in my backyard in the hammock with a magazine and an iced tea, being quiet. He drove me nuts.
Not for the first 2 weeks.
No, immediately. It was
Truth
like,
comes out now, Mario.
I'm sitting there, I'm just flipping through a magazine, chilling, having coffee. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Reading the magazine. Okay. What are you going to do later? I don't know. Do you want to do this? No, I don't. I want to do nothing today. And after 2 weeks of that, I finally told him, you need to go back to work. Sit in your office, be on your computer, chat with colleagues, and then at noon, you call me, and if I feel like it, you can come home and have lunch with me. If not, you got to stay another hour.
Practicing her deep hours.
I was practicing, being in charge.
And actually, it worked out well because, when you're teaching and you're working, I really got to rewrite that lecture. I really got to take a look at the software and test it out, see, can I use it in class? There are all these things that I wanted to do, but just didn't have the time to do it because you're busy teaching and being parents and raising kids and
going to meetings and taking kids to volleyball and this, that, and the other thing, theater. And so now I had this time. So I'm like, that's not a bad idea. Everybody knew that I wasn't supposed to be there. My office doesn't have a window on it. So I'd go into my office, close the door behind me. I'd say hi to a few people. And then I'd hang out there for about 4 or 5 hours. I would then do the required, so can I come home? I mean, coming home. I'm coming home now. You want me to pick up something for lunch? And we'd have our little conversation. So for the rest of that sabbatical, I'd go into the campus 2 times a week. I'd get a lot of work done. And it felt good because it gave me, it's what I needed. My semester off needed to be about retooling. And now I had the time.
Mm-hmm. So you go in 2 days a week. You get 2 days a week where you actually sit in the hammock and drink your tea and read the magazine or book or whatever the heck it was. Right. And it's like, all that stuff. So well, it's again, it's like I think for me, it's like with Shelley and I, it's like I can tell we're going to be around for a while till one of us falls off the off the cliff or something. But it's that being able to say out loud the things that are, bugging. And I do get on her last nerve, by the way. So, truth be told, it's like, and I think that's also part of it is because of the familiarity and everything. So, I really want to thank you for coming in. This was a lot of fun.
This was fun.
See, this was more fun than you thought it was going to be, wasn't it? Because, it started off and you were like looking like, ooh, It's like, no, it was fun. It was a chit chat. I tell people that all the time. So,
this is a great place. We really love it. I mean, I don't think we would have stuck around for, as students, as faculty, as alumni, for so long if it didn't have such a special meaning to us.
Yeah, I love working here. I'm trying to think, and I'm not sure I've ever enjoyed a job so much.
Yeah,
it's just becoming one of those things where it's it's just like being here and the energy you get from the students. I mean, I totally get why you stick around for it, regardless of all the behind the curtain stuff, which is always aggravating because it's, a big organization, but it's that interaction with the students, getting to know them, having them, oh my gosh, I can't believe. And it's just.
And I think for me, coming back as a retired faculty after my 6-month, mandatory break, I'm getting to enjoy the classroom and I'm not required anymore to attend meetings that I was required to do before. Mm-hmm. And so it's all about the students. It's all about perfecting my lesson plans, my classes, et cetera, et cetera. It's about giving advice when advice is asked. And again, not needing to show up to the required distance ed committee meeting, but I can if I want. And it's just focused straight on the students. And so I'm having a good time.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you,
and we'll do the elbows because
got it.
There we go. All right.
Thank you for tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next, the podcast for the DVC Alumni Association. You can contact us at alumni@dvc.edu with any comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our podcast.
A little bit.
Hair okay?
Hair looks good.
Thank you.
What about mine?
Your hair looks fabulous.
How's my beard?
It's perfect.
I put that gel on.
Yeah. It's
Nice. You have gel for your beard?
My daughter for Christmas gave me
a beard wax or beard
conditioner.
Conditioner.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I need to be able to tell her that because we're going to see her
Yeah.
in New Orleans and say, so have you been? I'm like, yeah, I used it for a product.
Yes.
Okay.